This is Deadbolt, a brutally hard stealth action game where you play as a Grim Reaper whose job is to shut down an undead uprising. The controls are super simple. You move around, grab a weapon, kill enemies with it, and use vents to sneak past the guards. Sounds easy, but there is a catch. You die in one single shot. One bullet, one mistake, you are done. Back to the start. The game is rated 9 out of 10 in difficulty and comes with 24 trophies including the platinum. Most of them are pretty chill, but there are 2 trophies that turn this game into a pure pain. Death, that requires to beat the entire game without dying, and Famine, for which I will have to beat the entire game in under 1 hour. But before we get there, I had to learn the game and beat all the missions the normal way. The game is split into 3 chapters, each with 9 missions, and starting with the very first one, I instantly realized just how easy it is to die here. On the next try though, I cleared everything clean and picked up my first 2 trophies. Professional for finishing a stage using only headshots, and Clocked In for clearing my very first mission. I also got a 5-star ranking, which is gonna be super important later because I will need 5 stars in all 27 missions for another trophy. In the second mission, one of the zombies dropped a cassette tape. These are the game's collectibles. There are 10 total, they drop randomly from enemies, and I will need all of them for the cassette culture trophy. Then, in the next mission, I used a vent to sneak under a toilet where a zombie was chilling. I popped out from below, which instantly killed him and granted me another trophy. After clearing that mission, I unlocked the docks, which is basically the shop where you can buy new weapons. Deadbolt's currency is souls. You get 10 souls for completing a new mission, and you can earn extra ones for trophies too, because the game actually tracks trophy progress, which you can check from your house. So when I bought a tactical SMG, I unlocked a trophy called Coinage. One of the next missions introduced a new enemy type, the Bouncer, and these guys are absolute tanks. They eat a huge amount of bullets and carry a shotgun that almost never misses, especially when you are near him. And of course, there is a trophy for killing one of them with a melee weapon. Luckily, it turns out throwing knives also count here, so after a few failed attempts, I threw one of them and just like that, the pugilist trophy was mine. Then we've got another type of zombies, the headless ones. And for the longest time, I honestly thought they were even tougher than bouncers, because nothing I did would kill them. I tried again and again. What the hell, like he ate the whole magazine. And then it finally clicked. Instead of shooting their bodies, you have to aim for their heads, which are just casually sitting on the windows. One shot to the head and problem solved. In the last mission of this chapter, we get to kill Roland, the boss of the zombie gang. He is guarded by a bunch of other zombies, and the moment they spot you, you're basically dead. But the mission intel makes one thing very clear: I don't have to kill everyone, I just have to kill Roland. So I took out the zombies closest to him, dumped the entire magazine into Roland's face, and immediately escaped through the vents before the rest of his gang could turn me into a Swiss cheese. Mission complete, and with that we finished the first chapter of the game. The second chapter is all about vampires. There are 2 basic types. The male vampire, he carries a pistol and knows how to aim better than zombies. And then there is a female vampire, who just sprints around like a maniac and tries to rip your face off with her nails. So yeah, pretty accurate depiction.
What did he say?
Anyway, both types can walk on the ceiling, and at one point I managed to kill a vampire mid-air, which gave me the Acrobat trophy. This chapter also comes with a massive difficulty spike. I really struggled with the lack of ammo, the sheer number of enemies, and the fact that vampires are way faster than zombies. Like here, on just the second level of this chapter, I spent over half an hour and died 40 times before finally clearing it. One really cool mechanic introduced in this chapter is the concept of
phylacteries.
These are vessels where vampires store their life essence, usually in bottles like this one. If you defeat a vampire while their phylactery is still active, the game shows you a glowing path leading to its source. To kill the vampire for good, you have to destroy the bottle as well. And if you are too slow and that glowing thing reaches their body, they just revive. And the devs got really creative with this. In this level, All 3 phylacteries were hidden in a room you could only access after looping around the entire building, which meant those 3 vampires just kept reviving over and over again until I finally got there and smashed the battles. Or here, where we face a double boss, Amber and Evelyn. They made each other their phylacteries. And of course, they are placed on the opposite sides of the map. So the strategy was clear paths to both sisters.
The number you have dialed is not available.
Kill one of them, unlock a shortcut in her room, rush to the other building, kill the second sister, and then went back using the shortcut to shoot the already revived twin before the first one comes back again. All of that with extremely limited ammo where every single shot matters. Later on we are introduced to another type of enemy, skeletons. They are not super tough, and on my very first encounter with one I managed to kill it mid-spin, which gave me another trophy. And then there is this absolute nightmare of a level. At first glance it looks completely normal, quite a lot of enemies but nothing crazy. But this time there is a timer, 60 seconds. And on my first playthrough I didn't even notice it. So imagine my surprise when this happened. Yeah, the bomb exploded and killed everyone. So there was only one option, come up with a super efficient strategy to clear the whole level in under a minute. And this is how it went. Kill 2 skeletons at the entrance. Show myself to the vampires, quickly hide to lure enemies from the second floor. Exit the vent, kill the lady vampire, go to the toilet, kill 2 vampires, go downstairs, wait for the skeleton to turn around, shoot half a magazine and still die. No, wait, again. Kill skeletons at entrance, show myself, go upstairs, get killed by lady vampire. Wrong, again. Kill skeletons at entrance, show myself, go upstairs, kill lady vampire and the guys in the toilet, go downstairs, kill skeleton, burn the ash totem. Nice. Wait, the timer didn't stop. There must be another totem. Panic, run upstairs, realize there are 3 enemies waiting for me, try to run away for some reason, die. Again, kill skeletons at entrance, show myself, go upstairs, kill lady vampire, try going right this time, get shotgun to the face. If your current strategy isn't working, try something else. Oh really? Why didn't I think of that?
A few moments later.
Okay, for real this time. Kill the guys at the entrance, show myself, kill lady vampire, destroy phylacteries, kill skeleton and vampires next door. Use vents to sneak behind skeletons on the roof and burn the missing totem. Go back, kill the guys in the toilet, smash the skeleton downstairs with a giant hammer, burn the last totem 4 seconds before the timer runs out. Let's go! Run to the car avoiding remaining vampires downstairs and realize a huge backup squad just arrived. 0 ammo. Panic, exit the vent, die literally 1 second later. Remember to keep cool, you will have a harder time playing frustrated. Fuck off!
2,000 years later.
After another many attempts, finally this happened. After all this nightmare, I was convinced the speedrun trophy is impossible. This level felt way too inconsistent and required absolute perfection. So I checked a strategy on YouTube, and I couldn't believe what I saw. Turns out, when you're hiding in vents, the game treats you as invincible, which means the actual strategy is: kill the guys at the entrance, hide and wait in vents for 1 minute, wait for the bomb to kill all vampires, get rid of remaining skeletons, burn the totem at the entrance and get back to the car before the backup even arrives. Just imagine my rage when I discovered it. And if that wasn't enough, the very next level is the final boss of the second chapter, Madame Stella. She's basically the final exam of phylacteries. Not only does she have 7 of them scattered all over the level, but she's also followed everywhere by a ridiculous amount of guards. And yes, this single level took me about an hour to beat on my first clear. It instantly became my absolute nemesis, especially later in the game when I had to replay it over and over, trying to find a strategy that was actually efficient and consistent. So don't worry, we will come back here with more details later, but for now, just enjoy the slideshow of my countless deaths. I was done for that day. Came back the next day with a fresh mind, still died a few times, but then something was different. I destroyed phylactery number 1, then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And suddenly, for probably the first time ever, I saw Stella completely alone. No guards, just her, and she was in a room right next to my car. I took the chance, shot her with a shotgun, then did the same to the 2 maniacs who tried to jump me on the way out, and finally escaped from this cursed place, getting a well-deserved trophy for completing the second chapter. Thankfully, the third and final chapter was way easier. The stages were longer and sometimes had multiple sections, but the progress between them was saved, so if I messed up, I didn't lose everything. Nothing here stopped me for too long. Most of the enemies were just skeletons with rifles or giant hammers. Later on, we also meet another kind of skeleton, who just runs around placing landmines everywhere. And yeah, the mines are a big deal in this chapter. I had to constantly watch my step unless I wanted to end my run like this. But the fun part is that the mines also work both ways, so for example I could sneak behind enemies, shoot one mine and the entire floor would just explode, killing everyone. There was also a really fun level with a mini-boss called Timur. His whole apartment is basically a death trap. Shotguns connected to door handles, floor switches that drop bombs from the ceiling, and even a room with 9 light switches where only one of them is good and all of the rest trigger a bomb landing on your face. So I had to be smarter than Timur. I used vents to go around the shotgun and disarmed it from the door. Shot the landmines, knocked on the next door so the skeleton inside walked straight into a triple shotgun blast. Used a light switch to kill 2 skeletons upstairs. Waited for their friends to move downstairs, then used vents to bypass more shotgun traps. Now the tricky part. I showed myself a few times to the big skeleton so he would move closer, slipped past him using vents, and then used the only correct light switch, the one that dropped bombs directly into Timur's room and kills him. Afterwards, I escaped using the roof and got the collateral damage trophy for clearing the entire level with only trap kills. Then we are introduced to the last type of the enemy in the game, which are demons. As usual, there are some fighting on short distance and some with the guns. There's also a big one with a lot of health and a minigun as a nice addition. Overall, nothing too crazy until the second to last level, where on top of combat I also had to focus on avoiding a sniper rifle crosshairs tracking me constantly. It took a couple of tries, but once I realized I could just shoot the lights and become invisible to the sniper, it was a free win. I got to the roof, grabbed my own sniper rifle and took a very satisfying revenge shot. And there it is, the final level. It has two stages. In the first one, we get support from an ally sniper. You just mark the target and give an order for a nice headshot. Easy. After dealing with some demons, we open a portal and talk to our employer, who turns out to be a giant talking candle. Then we can move on to the final boss of the game, Ibzan. At first glance, his house looks pretty empty, but killing Ibzan once is not enough. Every time you shoot him, he respawns on a different floor with a few new skeletons. Well, at least I thought it was a different floor, because a few times he respawned right next to me and killed me before I could even react. And after another hour and yet another miserable failed attempt, I rage quitted again. The next day, I came back with a fresh idea. What if I tried the same trick as before and shoot the lights? I could take my time, line up my shots, and the skeletons had no idea what was happening as long as I was not standing right next to them. No matter which floor Ibzan spawned on, I could just stand nearby, aim calmly, and take him out. And after killing him 5 times, he respawns one last time outside of the house. One final shot. The final boss is dead, and I've got the trophy for completing the third chapter. So with the story being finished, I could finally move on to the stage 2, go back to previous levels and clean up the remaining quick and easy miscellaneous trophies. To start off, I visited the first zombie mini-boss. The challenge here was to kill him without using the Tommy gun hidden in the basement. So I did exactly that, and here is the trophy pop. Next, I went all the way back to the very first level of the game and sliced every zombie using a scythe I just bought. And upon completing the level, I've got a trophy traditional for clearing it with only melee weapons. After that, it was time for a level called the Boogeyman, which I had to clear without being seen by anyone. I grabbed a suppressed shotgun, did it without any issues, and got a trophy Baba Yaga. Heading back to the chapter 2, I replayed the Bloody Mary and cleared it without letting any vampires revive. Nice and easy, there are only 4 phylacteries, so I just had to quickly get to them and grab the trophy. Then it was time to visit the vampire twins again. I had to kill Evelyn with a gun and Amber with a hammer. And right after doing that, I've got the trophy Quid Pro Quo, or however you are supposed to pronounce that. Moving on to the last chapter, I had to clear the first Ibzan section without being seen. A suppressed shotgun plus sniper support did the job easily, and the trophy popped right after opening the portal. I also forgot to mention one skeleton type, which is this tall guy in a yellow jacket. He can revive other skeletons, and if you destroy a body while it's being revived, you unlock the Grave Robber trophy. And finally, the last one from this batch. In the level where you get the sniper rifle, I had to ignore the main target and kill everyone else using only headshots. Somehow I did it on the first try and unlocked a trophy with this Frenchy name. Now that the nice and easy part was done, it was time to move on to the less pleasant stuff. As I mentioned, to get the war trophy, I had to earn 5 stars on all 27 levels. And when I finished the story, I only had 6 of them maxed out. This was about to be a long and painful grind. So let the show begin. Most of these levels became super easy once I came back to them. I just focused on landing as many headshots as possible and finishing each level as fast as I could. But there was one level that I just couldn't get. My nemesis, Madame Stella. I had to destroy 7 bottles here, and most of the available weapons are shotguns or wildly inaccurate machine guns. That meant a ton of shots were counted as misses, and so my headshot accuracy was always terrible, and no matter what I did, I kept getting 4 stars. Not to mention that I couldn't find any consistent method for completing this level, and many of the attempts just ended up with my death. The only thing I could do is just play it over and over again and hope to get a better time and less shots counted as missed. Eventually, after an amount of time I generally don't even want to check, I finally pulled off a perfect run. After getting 5 stars everywhere, I was missing just 2 cassette tapes. One from a vampire and one from a skeleton. They are all RNG and drop randomly from specific enemies. And you can probably guess which enemy was dropping the missing vampire cassette. That's right, baby! Madame Stella! Isn't that great? But for once, playing this level was actually kind of fun. Since Stella is immortal until all bottles are destroyed, I could just lure her to myself and kill her dozens of times, getting my sweet revenge until the cassette finally dropped. The second missing cassette was, of course, from Ibsen. And this one was not pleasant at all. Only the final hit outside the house counts as a proper kill, so every attempt meant replaying the entire level over and over and over again.
Did I ever tell you the definition of insanity?
I spent almost an hour one evening and got absolutely nothing. But luckily, the very next day on my first try, success. The cassette dropped and the trophy finally popped. And now, for the final dish of the evening, the 2 trophies that turned Deadbolt from hard into an absolute insanity. Well, actually, turns out the no death run is kinda easy. Hard to believe, but let me explain. The trophy description says you have to beat the game without dying or quitting. But the quitting part applies only to the entire game, not individual missions. Which means that if you quit a mission fast enough after getting shot, but before the respawn, the game doesn't count it as a death. At least, that's what the guide says. At this point, I knew every level like the back of my hand, but I was still super nervous. I had to stay fully locked in the entire time, especially since I didn't have a perfectly consistent strategy for some levels. I had a few very close calls, and since the levels in chapter 3 have multiple stages, resetting during the last one meant replaying the entire level from scratch. But I did it. I even killed Ibsen on my first try. And then... Trophy? No? No trophy? Don't tell me this doesn't work. They patched this? Maybe this one pops after the cutscene. And the waiting here felt like forever. But when the credits finally appeared... Yes! So they didn't patch this. Nice! One more to go. Now onto the speedrun, the grand finale of this platinum hunting. No easy shortcuts for this one. The no death run took me 1 hour and 44 minutes. So to get the famine trophy I had to be almost twice as fast. But this time I could allow myself to die. No more panic resets, no more restarting entire levels in chapter 3 just because of one mistake. So honestly, it didn't sound that bad. I genuinely believed this was within my reach. And before starting, I want to give a huge shout out to the Jack YouTube channel. The guy is an absolute Deadbolt professional. He clears the game in 35 minutes with no deaths. Watching and analyzing his runs before my own attempt gave me a lot of confidence and showed me several strategies I didn't even know were possible. and the first attempt wasn't that bad. I made a few stupid mistakes, but nothing insanely expensive time-wise. I died 5 times on Stella level, which cost me almost 5 minutes, but fuck her, I had this in my calculations. But then came the level with the skeletons that place landmines, and for some reason I just couldn't get it. Yep, over 7 minutes lost on a single mission. I crossed the 1 hour mark right after the sniper level. And because I failed twice on Ibzan, I finished the run with 1 hour and 8 minutes. Not great, not terrible. Second try? This started quite rough. A few dumb mistakes in the early vampire levels. But I cleared Madame Stella first try in 1 minute. My hopes were sky high. At that point I had 24 minutes left for the longest chapter. It was still possible. Until it wasn't. On the way back in one long level I waited just a second too long before shooting the rushing skeleton. I know this level. I knew he was there. I don't know why I waited for so long. Then I died 2 more times, and just like that, 5 minutes gone. By the time I entered the Ibzan mission, I was already at 59 minutes. So, third time is a charm? I wanted to believe this. I cleared the first chapter with no issues. The first part of chapter 2 was solid as well. Then came the Twin Sisters level. You know the drill. 2 buildings, clear both paths before killing the boss. I cleared the first one, but in the second I realized I wasted too much ammo. No way to kill the bouncer. Dead. Next attempt, died almost instantly. Third attempt, I switched weapons, cleared the first building, died to a dog in the next one. Fourth attempt, I cleared it again and died to the same fucking dog. And shortly after got shot by a shotgun. I wanted to quit, but I didn't have the time for another full run that evening, so I just kept going for the practice. In Stella level I obviously failed 3 more times, so yeah, the run was doomed. Or was it? With all the pressure gone, I cleared the most inconsistent levels of chapter 3 in the first try, and by the moment I got to the demon part, I saw this. 46, that's like... wait, over 13 minutes for 4 levels. So I have like 3 minutes for each of them. There is still a chance! Yeah, hope was back, and so were the nerves. First demon level, perfect run, 108 time. 12 minutes left. Next one, 2 stupid deaths, pure stress. Come on, why is this house so big? 2:14, still fitting in the limit. Less than 10 minutes remaining. Sniper mission. I took the risk of not shooting the lights in one room to save time. 2:38 and 1 death, but not too costly. Ibzan. Part 1, perfect clear. After opening the portal, I still had over 5 minutes left. Long walk to the candle guy, and I know that if I do this first try, the platinum is mine. My heart is pounding like crazy. Here we go. Get Ibzan for the first time. Second time. Third. Fourth. No, don't go left. Come on, get over here. Yes! Time 57, okay. Die. Still 57. No idea how long this last cutscene is. Come on! Come on! Yeah! Yeah! Famine beat the game in 1 hour. And the platinum. Oh my god, I'm so happy. Jesus, my hands are shaking so much. And that's it. Amazing game. Great and very emotional twist at the end. And one of the most satisfying platinum trophies I've ever earned. I was the 86th person to get it. And I highly recommend you to play this game and try to get into the top 100 while you still can. If you like this video, please drop a like and subscribe. Leave some comments below, as I'm pretty new to recording and editing videos, so I would love to read your feedback. And lastly, join my Discord from the link in the description so you don't miss the next video that's coming very soon.